Chapter 3: The Spiritual Teachings of the Essenes. The Essenes have always been remembered as a people of great discipline, simplicity, and deep connection to the divine. But beyond the known history, there is another side to the Essenes that continues to spark fascination. A side shrouded in tradition, spirituality, and mystery. The question remains, are there still descendants of the Essenes today? In the coming chapters, perhaps this answer will be given. Many spiritualist circles claim that the Essenes were not just a religious community from Judea. They were guardians of a much older wisdom, passed down from generation to generation through initiatic schools spread throughout the ancient world. According to these traditions, this knowledge was preserved by sages from Egypt, Syria, Persia, and other ancient civilizations of the East. Some authors associate these roots, these strands of wisdom, with traditions that predate Christianity by far, where the relationship between man, nature, and the universe was studied. Although these connections have not been proven by historical research, there is strong evidence that all this wisdom dates back 3,000 to 4,000 years before Christ, and that it was never lost because all its teachings were preserved. Within ancient handwritten manuscripts and fragile papyri scrolls, which were meticulously well preserved, initially protected by the Priory of Sion and, later, successfully recovered and guarded by the Templars. There are also traditions that claim communities inspired by the same principles existed far beyond Judea. There is talk of groups present in Egypt, Syria, Persia, and other regions of the Middle East. Essenian communities. Some esoteric schools go even further, suggesting influences that reach territories now associated with Tibet and even some Essene communities in present-day Western Europe. We do not know to what extent these traditions correspond to historical reality, but we do know that today there are communities that greatly resemble the Essenes and their teachings. And we know that there is a common element among all of them: the search for light, for knowledge, and for the activation of consciousness that makes us realize we are part of the whole. For the Essenes, true transformation always began within the human being themselves. It was not enough to know the scriptures or to understand nature if we did not feel that we are part of the whole. It was necessary to transform one's thoughts, purify one's emotions, and live in constant harmony with creation and with the universal Christ consciousness. For this reason, they dedicated time every day to silence, meditation, and contemplation. They believed that silence allowed them to hear what the noise of the world concealed. It was in silence that they found direction. It was in silence that they strengthened the soul. Among all the elements of nature, one held a very special meaning: fire. In ancient spiritual traditions, fire never represented just heat or light. It represented transformation. It represented purification. It represented the presence of divine light. According to some traditions associated with the Essenes, small flames were lit during moments of prayer or meditation, not as an object of worship, but as a symbol of the light that exists within every human being, what they called the divine spark. While the flame remained lit, the participants sought to free themselves from fear, anger, pride, and everything that distanced them from inner peace, certain that in the deepest self, each of them truly was. That energetic flame and the union of all of them gave rise to the whole and the universal one. Aromatic resins were also burned. Frankincense released a gentle fragrance that encouraged introspection. Myrrh was used during moments considered sacred and symbolized protection, consecration, and spiritual strengthening. The aroma of these resins slowly filled the space, helping to create an atmosphere of serenity, prayer, and contemplation. Many of us today often use incense, and so we can feel that we are simply continuing a very ancient practice and teaching, a teaching of the Essenes. But perhaps one of the most admired areas of knowledge attributed to the Essenes was their profound mastery of medicinal plants. The Essenes were doctors of the true medicine of nature, for nature has all the cures for all diseases, and many civilizations were well aware of this knowledge. But the Essenes gathered all the information accumulated over the years and perhaps became the greatest specialists in natural medicine. Long before modern medicine, herbs were considered true gifts from nature. Each plant had its own unique characteristics. Every root, every leaf, every flower, everything had a purpose. The Essenes carefully observed the natural world. They knew exactly the right time to harvest each plant, the correct way to dry them, and how to prepare infusions, ointments, oils, and poultices. According to various traditions, many people came from far away and from nearby communities as well. They sought out the Essenes when they suffered from illnesses, when they had injuries, or simply when they were looking for advice and spiritual development. Men, women, and children would come to their communities in search of help. How many of us nowadays go looking for natural medicines, or perhaps the true medicine of nature and of our Mother Earth? For the Essenes, treating a person meant looking at the body, mind, and spirit as a single reality. When someone arrived with an open wound, the first step was to clean carefully the injury. Pure water, herbal infusions, and natural preparations were used to remove impurities and promote healing. Hyssop was traditionally associated with purification. Aloe was applied to soothe burns, protect the skin, and promote tissue regeneration. Calendula was valued for its soothing properties on wounds and irritations. Myrrh was often included in preparations intended to protect the skin. Honey, known and used by many ancient peoples, was applied to certain wounds because of its preservative properties. Thyme, sage, and oregano were prepared as infusions or poultices and were valued for their traditional properties. Plantain was used to relieve minor inflammations. Yarrow was known in various ancient traditions for helping to control minor bleeding and promote skin recovery. Rosemary was associated with vitality and the recovery of the body. Mint helped to relieve digestive problems and provided a sensation of freshness. Juniper was used in fumigations intended to purify spaces. These plants were combined with pure olive oil, natural resins, and beeswax to produce oils and ointments. But according to spiritual tradition, true healing did not depend solely on the plants. The Essenes knew that everything that manifests in the physical body has a spiritual and energetic cause, and it is necessary to treat the cause in addition to treating the effect. While preparing the remedies, the Essenes did so in silence with deep dedication and absolute concentration. Every gesture was performed with attention. Every preparation was accompanied by meditation. They knew that the intention placed in each act profoundly influenced the outcome. The body received the benefits of the herbs. The spirit received the benefits of the energy of peace. True energetic healing, therefore, could only be achieved by cleansing the cause, thereby nullifying the effect. According to some spiritualist traditions, there were also moments dedicated solely to energetic treatment, which was considered the most important. These treatments were carried out in peaceful places, often in natural caves where the silence was broken only by the sound of the wind or water. There the environment favored concentration, meditation, and introspection so that you could enter into your deepest self. The sick were invited to breathe slowly, to calm their minds, and to open their hearts. The healers would place their hands on certain areas of the body while reciting mantras or remaining in deep silence, allowing the energy to work and fulfill its role. But the Essenes, they were aware that the energy did not belong to them, but rather was universal. But because of their attunement with the cosmos, they were perfect channels for the flow to work. Perhaps the best definition is to say that the Essenes were facilitators of each person's healing. Exactly what we nowadays call therapists, because the Essenes knew the greatest truth about the healing process. No one heals, no one. We only facilitate and assist because each person heals themselves. And we all have that power. Regardless of whether we accept these traditions literally or symbolically, there is a message that runs through all of them. True healing begins when a human being regains balance. The Essenes knew that a simple diet, a calm mind, contact with nature, daily discipline, meditation, gratitude, and service to others strengthened not only the spirit but also the body. For them, living spiritually did not mean escaping from the world. It meant living each gesture with awareness. Cultivating the land could be a prayer. Preparing a meal could be a sacred act. Caring for a sick person was serving the Creator Himself. Perhaps it is precisely for this reason that more than 2,000 years later the Essenes continue to arouse so much curiosity. Or perhaps they are more present than we can imagine, more than the places where they lived or the mysteries that still surround them. What remains alive is the example of a community that sought to live in harmony with itself, with nature, and with the whole. Regardless of how we interpret their history, there is a lesson that remains deeply relevant. Peace does not arise from wealth, nor from power, nor from recognition. Peace is born within. It is born when we learn to care for the body with respect, the mind with serenity, and the soul with love. Perhaps this was, and still is, the greatest spiritual legacy attributed to the Essenes. To remind us that every human being possesses an inner light, and that this light grows whenever we choose to live with awareness, compassion, simplicity, and love. Because in the end, the true temple was never built of stone. The true temple has always existed within each one of us. We are a grain of sand, and at the same time, we are the beach in its entirety. By understanding this definition, we understand unity and the whole. Until the next chapter.